In this creepy story, we will unveil a dark veil about family and betrayal. Imagine, how long could you last in a room with a corpse? In Essex, England, a daughter lived with her parents' corpses for 4 whole years. Yes, that's right. She did all this completely for her parents' pension. And the most crucial thing is that the parents were harmed by this daughter. A doctor from a hospital in Essex, UK, is very worried about his two patients. These two patients are an elderly couple, both over 70 years old. They have to go back to the hospital for a series of checkups every so often. They are very familiar due to seeing this doctor for a long time. Both old men basically have regular checkups and never miss. And many years have passed, they haven't come. So the doctor contacted the police. He wants them to check on the condition of these two people. In September 2023, when the police arrived at their home, got a scary truth. Two elderly people passed away, and the bodies have been kept at home for many years. The only one who can be found is the lady of the house who has lived here for years. 36-year-old Virginia McCullough is the daughter of two elderly people. She grew up in Chelmsford, Essex. This couple has 5 daughters, and Virginia is the smallest one. They're a very ordinary family. Father John McCullough is a retired lecturer. John and Lois were both over 70 when they passed away. In life, John had high blood pressure, diabetes, and high cholesterol. And his wife Lois has a range of mental issues like agoraphobia and OCD. So the couple has to go to the hospital together to see the same doctor. For Virginia, sisters either get married or move out. She lives alone with her elderly parents. Parents are also worried about Virginia. Their youngest daughter isn't getting married, and she has no job. What will happen in the future? Parents urging put some pressure on Virginia. But in 2019, Virginia told her parents she is studying and wants to be an artist. After completing my studies, I will be able to have a certain income. The parents were quite happy after listening to this. I once thought my little daughter was finally growing up, but this summer became the last summer of my parents' lives. March 2019, Virginia made a terrifying decision. She planned a series of murders of her parents. First, she accumulated a lot of prescription drugs and bought a knife and a tool to crush drugs. June 17, 2019, Virginia prepared a cocktail for her parents. The lethal dose prescription drugs she ground into powder. The parents were very surprised, but the father still drank the cocktail mixed by his daughter. Until the next morning, father remained silent. But mother is already up. It's obvious dad has passed away. Virginia is worried her mother will notice something. So while she was lying down listening to the radio, directly attacked mother with a hammer and stabbed her to death with a knife. During this time, due to mother's resistance, Virginia's hand still has a wound. After the crime is over, she hurried to the hospital for treatment. After that, she went to the store to buy 40 pieces of wood, as well as cement and sand. Then bought many other items. Gloves, sleeping bags, tape, and a ladder are prepared to handle parents' bodies. She stacked stones in a corner of her father's study and fixed them with white filler. Finally built a simple rectangular tomb. There are many blankets on top, and there are many photos and oil paintings hanging. She put her father's body in the sleeping bag, and to prevent odors from leaking, it is covered with at least 11 layers of plastic outside. She also hid her mother in the wardrobe upstairs in the same way. 2 days later, crazy Virginia acted like nothing happened, pretending to be her mother to get the credit card password from the bank. Then I also used this card to buy jewelry and clothes. After that, she made up a series of lies, concealed from neighbors, friends, relatives, and their doctors. Hiding from parents is just the start of a series of lies. In the next 4 years, Virginia wove a complex web of lies to explain her parents' absence. She told her family and medical staff either her parents are unwell, either go on vacation, or take a long trip. Throughout the COVID pandemic, Virginia exploits limited physical contact and restrictions for her gain. She stops anyone from coming to her house. It also deceives relatives by sending birthday cards, gifts, and texts in the name of parents. Pretend they are still alive. During this time, Virginia continued to live at her parents' house. every day facing my parents' corpses just a few steps away. I really don't know how she lived with her parents' bodies for so many years. She also took money from her parents' pension to pay off the debts she owed before. Speaking of debts, according to the police's later investigation, before harming her parents, Virginia had been struggling with severe financial and personal debt. The primary caregiver of this couple, she is becoming more reliant on their financial support. They also incurred huge debts in their name. By the time of the murder, Virginia was nearly $60,000 in debt. After paying off her debts, she lost over $20,000 on a gambling site. Watching my parents' pension is limited. She started selling valuable things at home and overdraw my parents' credit card. It is estimated that she spent nearly $150,000 of her dead parents' money. All of this happened during the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. The government and society were overwhelmed by the epidemic. Some restrictive measures instead fueled Virginia's deceit, like not going out, no contact. So even the doctors didn't notice the two elderly people's unusual situation until the COVID pandemic significantly subsided by 2023. September 2023. At that time, the McCullough couple's general practitioner noticed John missed several appointments and hadn't picked up his prescriptions. So she became concerned, which also raised alarm bells, especially since the couple also didn't contact the doctor in a timely manner after mysteriously canceling appointments. On September 13, the police first came to the house but found no sign of the McCulloughs. Virginia received the police but continued to pretend that her parents were away traveling. They would likely return around October. However, this statement raised the police's suspicions. On September 15, 2023, the police obtained a search warrant and broke in through a window. They subsequently discovered the bodies of John and Lois in the residence and immediately arrested Virginia. In the police body camera footage, she could be heard admitting to murdering her own parents. Although she confessed, she also tried to justify her actions, claiming her parents abused her. But this claim was later refuted by other family members as false. Finally, Virginia was charged with 2 counts of murder and appeared in court multiple times. In the judgment in October 2024, Virginia admitted to both murder cases. Judge Johnson sentenced her to life in prison, with a minimum term of 36 years. Only after that would she be eligible for parole. Judge Johnson stated at the sentencing, Virginia's actions severely violated the trust that should exist between parents and children, and pointed out that these murders were committed for personal gain and to cover up the truth. However, the court also learned that Virginia had been diagnosed with paranoia and autism, but her defense attorney did not argue that these conditions could excuse her behavior. On the contrary, some believe these conditions might have contributed to her actions. Her motives for murder seemed primarily driven by financial reasons. In the years leading up to the crime, she had accumulated a significant amount of debt, most of it in her parents' names. Faced with her parents discovering her poor financial management, Virginia resorted to extreme measures to ensure her secrets wouldn't be revealed. However, financial desperation does not fully explain the brutality of the murder. Virginia had a long history of deceit and manipulation towards her parents and others. She had repeatedly lied about her job and financial situation, giving false assurances to her parents while continuing to incur debts. This pattern of deception, combined with her mental health issues, contributed to her motives for committing the crime. Although the judge also raised the issue of mental health's role in criminal inquiries, and Virginia's mental health issues were confirmed, it did not absolve her of the crime she ultimately deserved. Her actions would impact her family and community for a long time to come. This case also reminds us that, even in the closest of family relationships, deceit and acts of violence do exist.